In the mountains of northern Japan, there are monks that believed that they could die while still inside of the body. Not as a symbol or as a concept, but literally mummifying themselves while they are still alive. They prepared for it for years, slowly stripping down the body until there was almost nothing left. And when the time came, they would bury themselves alive. After 3 years, the body is dug up, and if there are no signs of decay, the body is enshrined and immortalized as a living Buddha. They call it Sokushinbutsu. Almost everyone who attempted this failed and disappeared into history. But there is one person that succeeded. His name is Tetsu Monkai. He was born in 1759 in Yamagata to a poor family. And in his youth, he had a rough life working manual labor to support his family. And in his 20s, he falls in love with a prostitute, but things turn violent. A fight over her ends with 2 samurai dead. Now this is a crime that's punishable by death. So he runs into the mountains, and he ends up here at Churenji Temple. This is where he first meets the Yamabushi. These are not passive monks sitting in temples. The Yamabushi are practitioners who use suffering as the path to awakening. Tetsu Monkai stays, and he begins pushing these practices to their limits. And they say for him, at some point, it stops being about discipline or belief and becomes physical. He began removing parts of himself. This is Nangakuji Temple, a small shrine tucked into the corner of a modern neighborhood.
We're pulling up to it. I think I can see it just beyond the cemetery. But it's just crazy to think like it's just across the street from your house or something.
This was the first step in my journey to understanding Sokushinbutsu.
We have made it to our first pilgrimage point of the Nangakuji Temple. Behind these walls sits the body of a mummified monk, Tetsu Monkai, who has a very interesting story because he was not successful in his mummification. If you're not successful, you're typically required to do an exorcism, and then you're reburied and forgotten about. Also, he was partaking in this ritual after it was considered illegal by the Japanese authority, and his devotees had to make up a story and lie about his history so that they could enshrine and honor him here in this place.
I was not even sure that I was in the right place until I saw a little old woman who brought me inside and showed me something behind the glass. This is Tetsu Monkai, a disciple of Tetsu Monkai. When you're looking at a guy that mummified himself while he was alive, you have all kinds of crazy thoughts going through your head. You just think like, wow, humanity is pretty crazy. And also the fact that me and this lady are just sitting here like everything's normal is also pretty crazy. But then you start thinking about what sort of life it would have been to commit to something like this. And just as I was about to leave, I noticed something shocking preserved next to Tetsu Monkai. And they say it belonged to his teacher, Tetsu Monkai. This is his genitals. The story of Tetsu Monkai had begun spreading throughout the town, and the woman that he had killed the 2 samurai over came looking for him. And when she showed up, she begged for him to leave monastic life. Please come back and be in love with me. He turns around and he walks inside the temple. And after some time, he walks out slowly towards her, holding something wrapped in cloth. He doesn't say a word and he just places it in her hand. He had cut off his genitals and handed it to her. But by the time she had made it down the mountain, this sacrifice had woken her up from her illusions of life, and she immediately became enlightened.
Somehow, in some weird way, it feels like they were touching something more true than I can ever even imagine. I don't know if I believe in anything in my life deep enough to sacrifice even the most basic things. And that's what I was reflecting on in there. I was like, what do I believe in?
The more I dug around and the more I learned, I realized it did not start with Tetsu Monkai, but with a man called Honmyokai. Now we're going to a temple called Honmyo-ji, and we're on this bus. It's rainy, and I have to do a pretty decent hike once I land. It's somewhere in those hills. Try to catch as much roof as we can on the way. Should have bought an umbrella. Just been walking this endless road. I think I'm here. It looks like there's some kind of shrine just up those stairs. Honmyokai lived during a time where everything was collapsing. It was a famine, and when he looked around, he saw that everyone was suffering. And of course, he did what he could to help, but there was a time when he just fell to his knees. And he realized that no matter how hard he tries, no matter how much he gives, that it doesn't last. And while he was on his knees, he had a spontaneous awakening where he realized the eternal presence. And he decided to make the ultimate sacrifice, believing that it would restore balance in his community. He began training for his self-mummification in a place called the Swamp of the Magicians. And this is where he learned the final step, which is the immortal diet. And they say that after he finished, everything went back to normal. And that's why he is enshrined here as a living Buddha. I finally made it. This is one of the oldest Sokushinbutsu Buddhas. Is here in this temple. This Sokushinbutsu Buddha here is the oldest in the area. It's interesting, you know, in India, there's one Buddha that underwent a similar ritual that's completely unrelated to Sokushinbutsu. Well, not completely unrelated because it's almost identical. So this is an ancient practice that is probably scattered around the Buddhist areas of Asia. And because they bury themselves, you know, could be there's many more out there that we just haven't discovered. If you seek deep down, when you reach the end of that seeking, there's a place that's unspeakable. It's eternal, and it just is an isness that always exists. When all of this falls away, when your life falls away, that's the place it falls into. The stillness that the Buddha spoke about, because it is the beyond. And you are that more than you are whatever you think you are in this moment. And these Buddhas saw the mystery and they walked into it completely. I can't explain it, but I began having a lot of spiritual downloads while sitting at Honmyo-ji Temple. And aside from having all these profound thoughts happening, I was still left with one question. How do you die before you die? These practitioners, they have a very unique interpretation of suffering, which says that by diving headfirst into the pain of the body, one can transcend it.
Senin Sawa, or the Swamp of the Magicians. This is one location where the monks would practice their profound meditations, their general isolation from the world, and their ritual starvation, which sometimes lasted up to 3,000 days. They believed that the harsh climates of the swamp was the perfect place to purify their body before they would move on to burying themselves alive and eventually self-mummifying.
Most of the mystery schools from those days are long gone. These rituals have stopped. Most of the knowledge is basically forgotten about at this point, but not all of them. This is Dainichibo, a temple where the lineage was never broken. This place has been thriving for over 1,000 years, passed directly from master to disciple.
Here, in front of me, is the Dainichiboji Temple.
じゃお祓い閉めましたから話をしますよ。ここの寺は今から1200年前、弘法大師さんが中国に行って春号密教を習って日本の国に帰って美の一番に開かれたのがここ江戸の王さん。私方の生きてる人々の罪汚れ煩悩を払って清らかな心、清浄な心にして仏さんからお願いを幸せを与えてもらう。ここは祈祷専門の寺だ。拝んだらこの向こうの方へ移動してミイラと即身仏の違いを向こうで話をします。はい、それじゃどうぞ。天国にはミイラまたは即身仏が24、5体もあるそうだ。全国でただ一人の即、他はみんな死んでから内臓とで腐らねをした黒光りのミイラだということを知っておいて。ですから弘法大師さんと同じように私方普段食べてる米とか芋とかかぼちゃなんかは一切食べない。娘すばくから塩と水だけの断食をして胃や腸や血管全部症状にしてから最後にかぶれる山のウイルスの液を飲んで。
Here the monk is explaining the time that he tasted the sacred lacquer from the yurushi tree, which is one of the most important ingredients in the Sokushinbutsu diet. In fact, it's probably the most important. For 1,000 days, they followed the immortal diet. Wild nuts, seeds, roots, tree barks, until the body is stripped completely of fat and there is nothing left to rot. After that 1,000 days is finished, they add the final ingredient, which is the lacquer of the yurushi tree. It's a tree sap that is very poisonous to the body, and it makes you puke, and it makes you sweat, and it kills everything inside of you. The monk was explaining that it spreads through you like a vine. And the idea is that it makes all the bacteria inside of you die so that there is no decomposition afterwards. By this point, you're hardly conscious, but you are led to your chamber where you will be buried alive, and they have a bamboo chute for air and a little bell which you ring every day to let the people know that you're alive, and one day it stops ringing. One interesting thing that the monk said was that there was only one true Sokushinbutsu, but he never mentioned who it was. So afterwards, there was another Japanese traveler there. I leaned in and asked him, I said, hey, do you know who he was talking about when he said there was only one true Sokushinbutsu? And he goes, Tetsu Monkai. From the beginning of my journey, it all points back to Tetsu Monkai. But the problem is that Churenji Temple has been closed for years. I decided to go anyway because if I didn't, my pilgrimage would feel incomplete. So I'm just gonna go sit at the bottom of the temple.
So the temple that we're walking to, Tsurenji, is not open to the public, but this is the shrine of Tetsu Monkai. And his story is so important to the Sokushinbutsu history that it feels like my pilgrimage would be incomplete without stopping there. It's a very important spot, at least for me, and I feel like my whole journey in my life in some weird way has been leading up to this moment. I don't need to see his body to honor his story. So hopefully we can make it there before we lose sunlight, because I'm hours from anything really. There's some farmers. I brought a pillow and blanket in my backpack just in case we have to sleep outside tonight. I was told the temple is on a hill around a bend. We're coming up around a bend now, and there appears to be something up there. I hope so.
And eventually the road curves and you see this staircase.
I think we're here.
Now this is where the story gets crazy, because I get to the top of the stairs and I immediately notice something very magical. The door was open, and I sneak up real slowly, and each step just makes this creak because it's over 1,000 years old and it's made of wood. And I peek inside, and there is the monk who takes care of the temple, and he's giving a tour to a politician. The monk acknowledges me, and I just sit down in the temple.
I have no idea why he let me in. And it's crazy, every step of the way that I've been taking to get here, everyone said, no, the temple's closed, not open. Even the internet says the temple's closed. The information center, the temple's closed. But I mean, Tsurenji Temple, how long has it been closed?
Closed at 5 or 6 p.m.
But wow, it's crazy. I wasn't expecting to be able to even enter the temple. It was a big blessing for my pilgrimage that I've been on. It took me 4 days to get here, walking through the mountains. This is one of the most important temples in the Sokushinbutsu lineage. Many of the monks came here to learn the esoteric ways of these sort of practices, studying and doing the rituals here in the wood that we're walking on, in the soil of this place. The ceiling's super weird. It's got a picture of Prince painted on it. I don't understand. I just was sitting at the feet of Tetsu Monkai meditating, and I can't explain the feeling to be in the presence of someone that lived a life of true self-sacrifice, that really was touching transcendence. It's a hard thing for the normal rational mind to understand, but there is a stillness that comes from this presence. Sitting there looking up at his body, which is still in the lotus position, still clutching his beads, you have no thoughts. It's an instant stillness that just washes over you. I'm tripping out because there's other people here and he's not letting them inside. He's telling people they're not allowed to come in. Before I even found out about Sokushinbutsu, I had this intuition somewhere in my heart. I had a past life here in Japan, and I'm now in the process of rediscovering. And I know actually, it doesn't sound dumb. I don't care if people don't believe it or not. There's no accidents in this life. and everything is previous karma is working itself out, I believe. And the fact that he just turned everybody that came here away besides me is some magical confirmation that I don't expect anyone to understand, but yeah, I can't even explain it, but it blows my mind. I'm gonna ask him why he let me in.
なぜ私だけ入れて他の人は入れないの？魔法のような気分。
タイミング
Timing,
タイミング
perfect timing.
そうたまたまほら予約の人がいた時に来たの。本当は入れないんだけど、まあそう説明してやって。
I used the translator to ask him, how come you let me in and turned everyone else away? It seems too magical. And he just laughed and said timing. Yeah, everything is in divine timing. I really was expecting just to come here and to sit at the bottom of the stairs. They even called a taxi so I don't have to walk all the way back down to the bottom of the mountain. I'm like speechless that just happened.
At the beginning, the question felt impossible. How do you die before you die? I know it's crazy, but I think I finally got the answer. I was sitting down, I was looking up at Tetsu Monkai, and I realized that what made him so powerful is that he didn't identify with Tetsu Monkai. He didn't identify with the body. He identified with the part of himself that is eternal. So how do you die before you die? Is by becoming the part of yourself that doesn't die. And I saw that when I looked at him. In the moment I couldn't explain it, but there is no Tetsu Monkai. That is the teaching. He's trying to say this is not the thing. That body is actually a mirror. It's not a body at all. And I saw it clearly in that moment, and it's I don't think I understand Sokushinbutsu. How can you understand such a thing? But I that's what I see. So, if you want to see more explorations into spiritual topics like this is my YouTube channel, Dakota of Earth, and I've been doing these deep dives for a while, so go over there and check it out, and we will explore together. Merrily, merrily, merrily. Life is but a dream.
Yeah, they let me inside.
Yeah.
No, they let me see in the open door.
No.
No, they did.
No, impossible.
Me 2 days before they let me in.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
you get in?
Yeah.
Oh, unbelievable. Oh, see.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good lucky.
Yeah.
So that you talk to the master of children.
There was
Or
just the
staff of
door
children.
was open, and I just looked in, and he
Oh.
said, "Come in."